Welcome to this presentation of Part 2, the Regenerative City of the Environmental Sustainability Planning Guidelines. My name is Scott Edmondson, a certified planner and author of this part of the guidelines, which was prepared by the APA International Division's Ukraine Rebuilding Action Group. Part 2, Regenerative City, summarizes an emerging approach to sustainability planning that holds the promise of effectively responding to the defining twin 21st century challenges of accelerating climate change and unsustainability. This presentation will cover the following topics and close with an invitation to success. An introduction to the challenge and opportunity we face in 21st century planning, the key concepts of the new regenerative city approach to sustainability planning, and best approach practices required to shift from the current approach to the new one. In this introduction, we will review the guidelines, understand the challenge and opportunity we face in the 21st century planning, and why our approach matters, see how Ukraine can become a global beacon of 21st century sustainability success and prosperity, review the two guiding global pillars of 21st century planning, and see that the guidelines illuminate a professional best practices path for rebuilding with sustainability in mind. URAG's Environmental Sustainability Planning Guidelines are 2 years old. They arose from an initiative of the American Planning Association's International Division, which emerged from planner interest during sessions on Ukraine at the National Conference in 2022. Their purpose is to assist Ukrainian communities city rebuilding through networking, capacity building, knowledge sharing, and collaboration. And their objective is to provide useful information and resources based on best international planning practices. Ukraine faces a daunting task and goal: to build back better with sustainability in mind. But how? What will be considered better land use, built environment, and city in the 21st century? How important is the particular response? Sustainability has been elusive over the past 30+ years. We appear to be making a valiant effort, but not on track to achieve the goal. The path, method, and means appear obscured. The current approach to sustainability may be insufficient. Many reports from international agencies and scholars illuminate this predicament. Therefore, the question of how to build back better becomes important. The guidelines present one best practices perspective. How to build back, that is, the approach, matters. Why? In the 21st century, humanity faces two interrelated, must-address, accelerating twin trends and defining challenges: climate change and unsustainability. How we respond matters, and how quickly we respond matters. Ukraine faces a choice in how to build back better and what to build. That choice will affect the extent of prosperity and suffering in the face of the 21st century trends. The purpose of these guidelines, Part 2, the Regenerative City, is to illuminate a new emerging approach, which is a new response option, with the potential to respond successfully to both challenges simultaneously, and only for the price of one. This new approach is intended for use with the current best technical practices for specific environmental topics that are highlighted in Guidelines Part 3. In building back better, Ukraine has an opportunity to become a global beacon of 21st century sustainability success and prosperity. It can leapfrog to climate change and sustainability success by rebuilding a regenerative built environment that is also the core foundation of the circular ecological economy of sustainability. It can produce a regenerative built environment by shifting to a regenerative city approach, Guidelines Part 2, and by using all the best practices of green planning and design, Guidelines Part 3. In so doing, Ukraine becomes a global beacon of sustainability success, responding effectively to the 21st century's twin challenges of accelerating climate change and unsustainability. The guidelines have been developed in reference to two important international planning milestones. They are key contextual touchstones for effective planning in the 21st century. They are, first, the UN Sustainable Development Goals, widely known as the world's SDGs, including the UN Habitat's New Urban Agenda. This was an unprecedented, monumental, global, collaborative planning process that continues in implementation today. Second, the UN Habitat's International Guidelines on Urban and Territorial Planning. These guidelines are a reference framework for integrative, comprehensive planning adaptively across domains, such as land use, infrastructure, finance, etc., and across scales, while respecting distinct local, regional, and national contexts, and connecting them as necessary for success at each scale. The URAG Environmental Sustainability Planning Guidelines, of which we are summarizing Part 2 today, Regenerative City, focus on the environmental section of the UN Habitat Guidelines. And you can see this work in Part 3 of our URAG guidelines. In concluding this introduction to the challenge and opportunity we face in 21st century planning, we can see that the guidelines illuminate a professional best practice path to use and further develop as applicable in meeting the goal of building back better with sustainability in mind. The guidelines' three parts are, first, context, covering environmental, legal, and institutional conditions. Second, the new regenerative city approach. And third, current best technical practices for key environmental topics. This new cross-cutting regenerative city approach is intended to be used with and extend our current profession's best technical practices. This video presentation summarizes Part 2, the new approach, and the next two sections summarize the key concepts and the best approach practices involved in shifting practice. This next section discusses some of the key concepts of the new approach. Understanding them is helpful for undertaking the new approach. This section covers the following topics: how regenerative city is a better phrase and approach to producing a sustainable city, why it has the potential for success, the nature of our current sustainability planning predicament, the sources of this predicament, how to respond effectively to the predicament, and how to begin redesigning our economy and cities. Regenerative city is a better phrase and approach to planning and producing the sustainable city because it has higher definitional value, it reveals the operational principle of sustainability, regeneration, living systems regeneration in particular. This nascent approach is emerging from innovation in the planning, design, and sustainability practices over the past 20+ years, attempting to achieve sustainability. It needs cultivation, development, and scaling quickly. It has two parts: a general method, more technically referred to as regenerative system sustainability, and second, applications to specific domains and practices. It becomes regenerative urbanism when applied to urban and regional planning. A regenerative system sustainability approach, that is regenerative city, has the potential for success. It produces full system sustainability as opposed to part sustainability. Applied to urban and regional planning, it produces the regenerative built environment and larger regenerative city and region, which in turn is a core component of the circular ecological regenerative economy needed for sustainability success. Applied to the economy, that is products, services, and public policy, it produces the circular ecological economy, which in turn is the essential foundation of sustainability, a sustainable world and future. In addition, it holds the prospects for solving the twin challenges of accelerating climate change and unsustainability simultaneously, and only for the price of the response to one challenge. Regenerative systems sustainability is the only approach that can create the international collaboration needed for climate change success, because it not only eliminates GHG emissions, but it does so by redesigning the economy for inclusive prosperity, which both the North and the South need. As framed now, the South must defer or slow growth and socioeconomic development to meet the goals of climate change. This is an unacceptable trade-off on humanitarian and moral grounds. Even more to the point, it is unworkable and impractical as a strategy in that it unwittingly undermines the support and collaboration required for success. Furthermore, by solving for only one variable, GHG reduction, in developing its climate response to date, many options arise that will not generate the needed economy and prosperity of sustainability, nor the associated development paths to it, which both the North and the South need, especially as humanity faces both the prospects of a doubling population to about 9 billion people from 2000 to 2050, possibly increasing to 12 billion by 2100, life support permitting. Not to mention the irreversible systems tipping points that will be passed if GHG production is not reduced and eliminated on the needed timetable. As a result, the options and the innovation needed to create the path forward remain obscured and unattended, with precious time for an effective response slipping away. International reports and scholars over the past 20+ years continue to paint an increasingly vivid picture of our sustainability planning predicament. Humanity appears to be achieving some objectives, green buildings, EVs, etc., but not achieving sustainability, as the twin trends of catastrophic climate change and unsustainability accelerate. The options in response would appear to be either act faster and more effectively, or find a new approach. The source of this predicament determines our choice of effective response. Are we simply responding inefficiently and ineffectively using an approach with the potential for success? Or is our approach intrinsically ineffective? Could it ever be successful, regardless of efficiency and effectiveness? The unexamined nature of the current approach, sustainability as usual, includes the following. It only reduces incremental impacts, producing net negative effects, which continue to increase in total over time, although slightly more slowly. It uses a no change or tolerable change picture of the future, that is the future baseline, that understates costs and overstates benefits of the present unrolling over time. That locks in the present and locks out sustainability. It presumes an unexamined and false theory of change that producing enough sustainable parts, such as green or even living buildings, electric vehicles, etc., will create sustainability. That is the systems condition of sustainability. The net result is a false, hopeful understanding of the future if the present continues, which hides the real problem and prevents effective action. Logically, sustainability as usual's approach and method can never produce success. As a result, this false view of the present and its future, if unchanged, hides the issue. We do not see an urgent issue, and we do not address or eliminate the source of the problem, which is the economy's current processes and materials. They are destroying the Earth's only regenerative life support system, its natural capital and processes. In addition, the current economy is not nearly productive enough to support the world's population. Taken to the limit, they crashed the biosphere and before that, the human economy, potentially in this century, according to the best stochastic understanding we have from the IPCC, etc. Under these conditions, Making the right choice of approach and method now is critical. Fortunately, we can make new choices now and orchestrate an effective response. How can we respond effectively to this sustainability planning predicament? We must address the root of the problem. We must redesign our economy and cities' metabolism. We can do this by shifting to regenerative system sustainability and urbanism, embracing understanding, learning, using, advancing, and scaling it as soon as possible. This involves redesigning our economy's processes and materials to eliminate the destruction of nature at a minimum requirement. Better yet, redesigning them to have a net positive impact that enhances and expands life support capacity of both nature and the human economy. The next task and question then becomes how to redesign our economy and cities to produce sustainability. Obviously, this is no small task. It may sound even ludicrous, crazy, and impossible. Yet we designed it as it is. It is producing accelerating catastrophic climate change and unsustainability. We must redesign it, and we can redesign it. We cannot cover the whole topic here and do not need to. We will cover a set of primary macro principles to follow and the key role urban planning and design play. First, use nature as the design template. Nature is both form, design, and process, economy. Mimic it. Use its regenerative life support system principles, materials, and processes. Shift from producing part sustainability to system sustainability as our basic approach. Part sustainability, that is producing electric vehicles, green buildings, etc., have a few sustainability characteristics, but many characteristics will continue destroying nature. In system sustainability, parts have no characteristics that destroy nature. They enhance and expand the life support capacity of both nature and the human economy. These moves begin to create the new circular ecological economy that sustainability requires. Second, plan and design to regenerative system sustainability performance imperatives, not the goals of sustainability as usual. Shift from using the goals of parts sustainability with their net negative effects to using the performance imperatives of regenerative system sustainability. Use them as North Stars to produce whole system sustainability. Plan, design, and innovate to those systems performance imperatives and take the biggest steps possible with each new plan, project, product, and service, and with each act of maintenance, repair, renovation, and replacement. The imperatives are as follows: 100% renewable energy economy, solar mostly, 100% organic food production, no waste by design, 100% continuous material cycling by design, no destruction of nature and only reinvestment and enhancement, making decisions based on full costs and benefits, and pursuing them to the extent possible in each case. Third, create regenerative built environments. Use a regenerative city approach to plan, design, and create them. They produce the urban metabolism of sustainability, which in turn is the foundation of sustainable cities, which in turn is a core component of the ecological economies of sustainability. And as an added benefit, they catalyze an ongoing transition to sustainability throughout the city and economy. The work can begin by using all of the green building and design practices developed from innovation to date, then incorporate them into and extend them using the newly emerging regenerative city approach. Specify and innovate to the new design configurations to achieve the highest imperatives performance attainable in each case. Additional tasks of creating regenerative built environments include: pursue ongoing innovation to bridge the gap to system sustainability. Apply it in all maintenance, repair, and replacement decisions, beginning now. Don't forget the existing built environment. Upgrade it too. And use the best approach practices, BAPs, to shift from the old to the new approach, which we will now review in the next section. This section concludes with these key points. Creating regenerative built environments creates the foundation of the sustainable city and the foundation of the sustainability economy in turn. This point is a game changer for urban planning and design. It dramatically increases their value from their traditional and optional value of land use efficiency and design aesthetics, which are often valued engineered out or never included, to creating the economics of sustainability, which is the basis for creating inclusive prosperity and community well-being. In addition, it dramatically changes the role and increases the value of planning and design and urban planners and designers. They become society's expert professionals in delivering sustainability, a role and expertise that needs to be advanced. In this next section, we briefly review the best approach practices for regenerative city planning. They are the practices needed to shift approach from sustainability as usual to regenerative system sustainability and regenerative city planning. These approach practices are different from existing best technical practices used to achieve specific planning functions. These cross-cutting approach practices are used in each substantive area of planning, along with the area's best technical practices, such as stormwater retention, energy efficiency, or living buildings. We will review practices 1 and 2, the primary ones for planning and design. However, we must also use a set of other best approach practices for complete success. Having reviewed the full set of new practices to shift approaches, we will review the detail of practice number 2, plan and design the regenerative city, and conclude with a summary of the regenerative city method. Best approach practices are used to change from sustainability as usual to an approach that will set the foundation for and build prosperity and community well-being under 21st century conditions. Practices 1 and 2 directly address regenerative urban planning and design. The first practice focuses on key aspects needed to change approach, that is, planning and designing to regenerative system sustainability performance imperatives, continuously innovating to ultimate success, taking a strategic approach, and using whole systems engineering. The second practice focuses on the different dimensions of creating the regenerative built environment of a regenerative city and region. Other best approach practices are needed for complete success. Practice 3 focuses on hardening the socioeconomic systems of cities and regions to defend against the increasingly hazardous conditions that will be occurring over the long period of climate system recalibration. Practice 4 involves restoring nature damaged from past practices, but in the context of new nature arising from accelerating climate change and associated ecosystem changes. Practice 5 pursues problem solving across the full system as necessary for each initiative when barriers to success exist in other levels, areas, or jurisdictions. Practice 6 requires planning and designing for the new contexts and conditions that will arise from accelerating climate change, unsustainability, and new nature, not simply presuming the static familiar conditions of the recent past will continue. Practice 7 harnesses the market and legal system to reverse climate change and unsustainability and accelerate the transition to an abundant regenerative ecological economy. Practice 8 continuously innovates to needed systems performance. Practice 9 designs new governance patterns and forms required to generate the decision-making intelligence needed to achieve regenerative system sustainability and a regenerative built environment and city. Practice 10 uses full cost decisions and 10-year budgeting to fully fund the regenerative built environment and city. Now, we will review the sub-practices of BAP number 2, planning and designing the regenerative city. In practice number 2.1, we begin shifting to a regenerative approach immediately by using existing resources, budgets, expertise, and future savings to fund the regenerative options for the maintenance, repair, renovation, and replacement of existing infrastructure. In practice 2.2, we reinvent the comprehensive plan as a strategic regenerative city plan and process to create the regenerative built environment and then prepare one. In practice 2.3, we identify and make the big regenerative context shaping moves. Practice 2.4 extends the regenerative system sustainability approach from the built environment to the rest of the city to create complete livable places. Practice 2.4.1 extends the planning horizon to 100 years to fully embrace the period over which costs and benefits will occur. In addition, we apply the approach to all the components of a regenerative city. With engaged stakeholders, we formulate a vision and develop the additional performance imperatives of regenerative livability. We use a living community approach and patterns for regenerative neighborhood design. And we formulate the zoning ordinance and design guidelines of regenerative urban system sustainability, the regenerative city. With practice 2.4.6, we formulate comprehensive plans, zoning codes, and guidelines to optimize performance across the primary urban subsystems of land use, density, and transportation. In practice 2.5, we renovate and repattern the existing built environment, not solely for new development. And practice 2.6, we build resilience, community, and justice through engagement required to plan and build the regenerative city. And finally, with practice 2.7, we use modern GIS and geodesign practices to leverage the digital transformation of data science, geography, analysis, and engagement to intelligent decisions via visualization and simulation tools for sustainability planning, design, and construction success. We complete this section with a high-level summary of the regenerative city method. First, we start where we are, with our current green best planning and design practices and the innovation that's producing them. We stop value engineering them out. We include them for the full benefits they produce, principally creating the economic foundation of sustainable cities and regions. Second, we start planning and designing to the regenerative system sustainability performance imperatives that shift us from producing limited part sustainability to producing whole system sustainability, and also develop the practices of continuous innovation across projects and time to ultimate success. Third, we reinvent the comprehensive plan and implementing tools to create regenerative built environments and the metabolic and economic foundation of sustainability. Fourth, we create the new forms of governance needed to orchestrate, lead, guarantee, and champion the complex multidimensional challenge and process required to produce sustainable cities and regions and achieve sustainability success. Essentially, this presentation is an invitation to sustainability success, to question the effectiveness of the current approach and to make adjustments. In closing, we will review key points, summarize the path of Ukraine or any actor becoming a beacon of success, highlight some next steps, and thank you, identify some resources, and provide some contact information. The presentation begins with a critical look at the sustainability planning's predicament, the limitations of sustainability as usual. It identifies the need to address the two defining twin challenges of 21st century planning, that is, accelerating climate change and unsustainability. And then it illuminates the source of the issue as our current approach of sustainability as usual, which only slightly slows impacts instead of eliminating them. It identifies the cause as our economy, its current processes and materials that are destroying the only regenerative life support system we have. Finds an effective alternative approach emerging at the heart of innovation occurring in sustainability planning and design practice over the past 20+ years. It names that approach for its core principle of regeneration, as in regenerative city, regenerative system sustainability more generally, and regenerative urbanism. It reviews the key concepts and primary practices of the new regenerative approach and it sees this presentation as an invitation to embark on the journey to sustainability success. In so doing, Ukraine can become a global beacon of 21st century sustainability success and prosperity. This would be accomplished by leapfrogging to climate change and sustainability success, by rebuilding a regenerative built environment, which also creates the core foundation of the circular ecological economy of sustainability. Producing a regenerative built environment involves shifting to a regenerative city approach, Guidelines Part 2, using all green planning and design best practices, Guidelines Part 3. As a global beacon of success from responding effectively to the 21st century's twin challenges of accelerating climate change and unsustainability, Ukraine would be able to spread the success in many ways, including hosting Seeing is Believing tours for government and NGO leaders. The next steps beyond this presentation include the following. Learn it and use it. Forge a deeper understanding. Assess and plan your shift of approach. Read Part 2, The Regenerative City, of the guidelines. Review the footnoted resources in the PDF copy and the bibliographic resources on the website. Form a Regenerative City Advisory Group as a resource, likely as part of a partnership with APA International Division. Partner with like-minded, leading-edge sustainability champions and initiatives, the EU, other NGOs. For maximum benefit, formalize learning, applying, and advancing this approach as part of rebuilding Ukraine. Celebrate local, regional, and national sustainability success along the way, and become a living global resource for regenerative sustainability success as a result. In closing, I would like to thank you for listening to this presentation. I'd be pleased to answer your questions, provide additional resources, or direct you to someone who can answer them. Please email me. I would also like to understand what worked and did not work and why in this presentation for you. Please send me feedback. With that, I wish you the best in navigating your path as part of our path to sustainability success.